January 8th, 1815. A muddy field in southern Louisiana is torn apart by heavy artillery as thousands of veteran British soldiers march directly into a wall of American fire. Within 30 minutes, over 2,000 British soldiers are killed, wounded, or captured. American losses, by comparison, are estimated at under 100. It was one of the most lopsided wins in American military history, and it had absolutely no effect on the outcome of the war, because on paper, the war was already over. How did thousands of men march to their deaths in a conflict that no longer technically existed? And how did a victory that changed nothing about the peace treaty manage to change so much about the country's future? Before this morning, the War of 1812 had been a frustrating, often embarrassing conflict for the United States. The military had struggled for years, and the British had even managed to invade Washington, D.C. and burn it to the ground. By late 1814, the country was exhausted. To many Americans, New Orleans represented a final chance to salvage national pride and close out the fighting with a clear, undeniable win. Over in Europe, a resolution had already been reached. Diplomats from both sides sat down in Ghent, Belgium, and on December 24, 1814, they signed a formal peace treaty. But in 1814, there was no telegraph or radio. News traveled by ship, and ships took weeks to cross the Atlantic. This map tracks the week-by-week journey. The treaty sat in a ship's hold, slowly creeping toward America. Meanwhile, a massive British invasion force was already moving. Their target was New Orleans, a port they hoped to seize as a bargaining chip before peace was finalized. This lack of communication created a lethal blind spot. The gears of war were engaged, and a major collision was guaranteed before the news of peace could arrive. Tasked with defending the city was Andrew Jackson, a tough frontier commander leading a vastly outnumbered force against veteran British troops. To hold the line, Jackson pulled together a diverse coalition: regular army soldiers, the state militia, free black soldiers, and Choctaw warriors. He even recruited a group of local pirates and smugglers led by Jean Lafitte, offering them full pardons in exchange for their help in the defense. Jackson anchored this force behind earthworks and cotton bales, positioning his heavy artillery to create devastating fields of crossfire for anyone attempting to cross the open ground. The British assault failed almost immediately. In the chaos of the retreat, their commander, General Edward Pakenham, was killed on the battlefield. It was a tactical humiliation. A scrappy, unconventional American force had dismantled one of the most professional militaries in the world. Weeks after the battle, the ship carrying the treaty finally docked in America. The war was officially over, rendering the entire engagement technically moot. The victory at New Orleans didn't change a single word of the agreement. On paper, nothing had changed. But when news of the win reached a public still reeling from the burning of Washington, the national mood shifted. The war didn't just end in a stalemate. It closed with a clear triumph that the country used to reclaim its confidence. This outcome helped fuel a new self-image, the story of the scrappy underdog who could outsmart and outfight a global superpower. For Andrew Jackson personally, the battle was transformative. He became a celebrated national hero overnight, gaining a level of fame that followed him for the rest of his life. That fame provided the momentum for a political career that eventually carried him to the presidency and shaped the next era of American politics. Thousands of men fought and died for a war that no longer existed, simply because news could not travel fast enough. Yet that accidental conflict provided the exact kind of mythic victory the American public was looking for. In the next part of this series, we head to Texas, to a small mission surrounded by an overwhelming enemy force. 200 men, 13 days, and a line in the sand. The Alamo.